it from the outside. But inside the belly of the beast, there's much more than what meets the eye. Teenagers. Teenagers are one of the most formidable species in existence. But despite a judgmental eye, their self-esteem can fluctuate drastically within a second. Maintaining status is the key to survival. How to keep status? Start a fight. Conflict can start anywhere.
Hey, kid!
An easy target has just bumped into a jock. To the latter, this is a challenge to his pride. What comes next is fully dependent on the jock. Does he give in to peer pressure, or does he back? Ouch, that's gotta hurt. Our fight has begun. A defensive move, the loner aims to survive while the jock is out for blood. Sheer strength is not all that's needed for these battles. You also need intelligence. The fight is being documented by many amateur videographers. Is that a Chromebook? We take to social media to see what they are experiencing. Truly jarring footage. A fatal blow to his ego brings the predator down, and hoping to end the fight, they draw a powerful weapon. The pen. Is this the moment we discover if the pen is truly mightier than the sword? And that's that. The only thing scarier than almost being impaled with a writing utensil? Detention. Thank you for joining me today on High School Geographic as we explored the ins and outs of a fight. Tune in next week to uncover the mysteries of the lunchroom and answer the question, is it meat? It may look quiet from the outside, but inside the belly of the beast, there's much more than what meets the eye. It may look quiet from the outside, but inside the belly of the beast, there's much more than what meets the eye. Teenagers. Teenagers are one of the most formidable species in existence. It may look quiet from the outside, but inside the belly of the beast, there's much more than what meets the eye. Teenagers. Teenagers are one of the most formidable species in existence. But despite a judgmental eye, their self-esteem can fluctuate drastically within a second. Maintaining status is the key to survival. How to keep status? Start a fight. Conflict can start anywhere.
Hey, kid!
An easy target has just bumped into a jock. To the latter, this is a challenge to his pride. What comes next is fully dependent on the jock. Does he give in to peer pressure, or does he back? Ouch, that's gotta hurt. Our fight has begun. A defensive move, the loner aims to survive while the jock is out for blood. Sheer strength is not all that's needed for these battles. You also need intelligence. The fight is being documented by many amateur videographers. Is that a Chromebook? We take to social media to see what they are experiencing. Truly jarring footage. A fatal blow to his ego brings the predator down. Hoping to end the fight, they draw a powerful weapon. The pen. Is this the moment we discover if the pen is truly mightier than the sword? And that's that. The only thing scarier than almost being impaled with a writing utensil? Detention. Thank you for joining me today on High School Geographic as we explored the ins and outs of a fight. Tune in next week to uncover the mysteries of the lunchroom and answer the question, is it meat?
up and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. Thank you. First up on the agenda is recognitions, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say we've got a few recognitions for tonight. Just a smidge.
Yeah, we do. I think our first recognition we're going to give to Mr. Parrott to recognize one of our staff members.
I don't know what order, but I'm going to start.
Lively come forward. So I have some exciting news to share with you. Mr. Tribely has been chosen as a winner of this year's Quinlan and Favis Chicagoland Outstanding Music Educator Award. This special award recognizes excellence in the field of music education in the Chicagoland area and has been presented since 1989. His name was placed in nomination by one or more of his peers and selected by their selection committee at Quinlan and Fabish, which does include past winners. There will be a formal ceremony honoring Mr. Tribely in Burridge on Thursday, June 13th. And the entire class of 2023, which includes some other individuals, specifically one of the band instructors at Rolling Meadows High School and New Trier High School. So he's in good company with a couple other great music programs, amongst other music educators from around the Chicagoland area. So just one more time, if you can please join me in congratulating Mr. Tribely on earning this recognition. I think he wants to give a speech.
Congratulations. Appreciate you guys being here for that. Okay, then I think we've got Vanza is here, and I don't know exactly who I'm throwing that to. Yes, okay, here they are.
Everybody, yeah, oh yeah. Nobody gets to hide.
Hello, everybody. My name is Yesenia Ruiz, and I served as the secretary for Avanza for this past school year. I want to thank you all for recognizing us here tonight, and we are being recognized tonight for our accomplishments at the Chicano College Bowl this past month. And for those of you that do not know, the Chicano College Bowl is a Scholastic Bowl trivia competition based on Latino history. And it is not only the competition, but it also includes a scholarship test, a keynote speaker, cultural dances and food. And it is beyond description how special it is to celebrate our cultural identities in this kind of community. The Chicano College Bowl personally gave me so much confidence and ability for public speaking, and it really allowed me to advocate and educate about my community. And while winning first place in both junior varsity and varsity was very nice, the lessons that we learned were way beyond that. So I did graduate this past weekend, and as I was reflecting on my past 4 years at Warren, I definitely do think Chicano College Bowl and my time at Avanza was the highlight of my 4 years. And I'm very proud of everyone that's standing with me, and thank you all.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you being here. All right, then we're going to recognize some Tech Campus students and some Skills USA awards. Our Flickr's batteries are dead, so you're just going to have to tell me when to move forward.
I'll do the beep thing. I'll do the old school beep. I'm aging myself. If I could have Travis Gillette and Aiden Parekha come forward. So I'm presenting on behalf of Mr. Pagan, who's one of our deans, and he also assists with our tech campus program. He had a family commitment tonight, so he asked me to fill in. And the joke amongst the kids is that Mr. Pagan and I are twins anyway, so I look the most like him. So it was fitting that I got to do this. So our relationship with the tech campus has been around for a long time, and the experience provides for our students an educational environment that supports and encourages different learning styles. If you want to advance the slide, Dr. Wiesman, that would be great. It develops occupational skills and professionalism, promotes academic growth, and assists students in discovering their potential. In addition to the high school credit, the Tech Campus partners with the College of Lake County and allows students to earn opportunity towards credit at no cost. So coming out of the COVID pandemic and all that, our numbers were down a little bit. So just to give you a rough idea of the number of students that we send there each year, in 21-22, we had about 256 students that were enrolled at the Tech Campus. This past year, we had about 312 students, and we're anticipating just over 400 students enrolling next year. So their numbers kind of dipped down just across all schools that take advantage of it, and it's nice to see our students kind of re-engaging with the Tech Campus programs that are out there. Beep. There we go. So the Skills USA Championships recognize career and technical education students who excel in their occupational areas and spotlights the leadership and development activities. So students participate in kind of a 3-day event, some high energy festivities kick off on Thursday. There's kind of a championship in the actual competition where students are competing across 100 career competitions designed to test their skills. And then on Saturday, there's kind of an Olympic style championship ceremony honoring our students that participated. This year, Warren had 3 gold medal winners, bronze medal winner, and an honorable mention student that took 4th place. And there's just a couple of slides here of students kind of in action and the different programs that are participating throughout the weekend. So the 2 gentlemen here, Travis and Aiden, why they're here, they were fortunate enough to place well enough to and earn national recognition. So Travis and Aiden will both be representing the state of Illinois on a national stage in Atlanta, Georgia this summer. June, July, I forget. Okay, June. I couldn't remember which month. In June, and tonight we would like to recognize them both for their outstanding accomplishments. So please join me in
Yeah, tell us what you're representing. Yeah.
Yep. All yours, Travis.
Thank you. I am in game programming and virtualization by Mr. Judge. He's a great teacher, not gonna lie. He's taught me a lot and mainly how to act professional, but also how to program, and I very much appreciate that. So,
Gifted program.
Representing the state of Illinois for the firefighting competition. Semester by a Mr. Ted Siaki, and then second semester by a Miss Stephanie Jones. And then Miss Jones really stepped up to the plate when Mr. Siaki went on leave. She was a law enforcement teacher that got put in for firefighting. I can't say much more than that. She did an amazing job.
Thank you.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Great job.
Aiden, would you like to please tell the audience what you're also doing this weekend?
East Illinois.
All right, thank you. This is super fun. These are some of the best times at board meetings, and I think we're also got some time allotted for student recognitions as well. You might have heard I promised I brought a clicker, but my battery ended up.
I heard. That's devastating news, Dr. Wiesman. Well, I'd like to just start by thanking the Board of Education for having us here. It's a great opportunity to share with you some of the unbelievable things that have happened to us this year. The fine arts, we're really proud of the fine arts program
I'd like to thank the students and parents for coming tonight. A lot of these students are seniors, they're done, they've gone through graduation, and they're coming back. They don't want to go away, which alludes to the fact that the fine arts are all about passion. And, you know, it's built into our souls, and I know that these students live it every day like I do, and I'm really proud of them for all they accomplished, and there's a lot of reasons for that. I'm also really proud of our staff. The teachers in our program, I've sat in all their classrooms over the years, imagining my son and my daughters in their classrooms and just having that image in my head. And next year, my son will be a freshman, and it's going to happen. So I'm really excited, and it's probably the highest compliment I can pay to them is that I want them to be my kids' teachers because they're so incredible. And I've been talking about it for several years now, and I'm glad it's finally here. So our year has been unbelievable. We've had several regional and state level recognitions, some of the highest awards the state offers to fine arts students. And we wanted to come together tonight and let you see some of the amazing things that have happened to us throughout the year. So thank you for letting us do this tonight. We're going to start with the music program, band and choir, and have Mr. Trively come up and present. Mr. Trively right over here, over there. He's stealth. That's why he's the music educator of the year right there. He's quick. So I'll let him start.
Jump in here. I just really quickly thank you again for the recognition tonight. What I told the students right away when I found out about it was it's really all about them, because we can't be great teachers if we don't have great students. So I'm thrilled to be here tonight to recognize the students that helped make this year great. First off, in the band world, we had kind of two different ways that we were recognized at the state level. The Symphonic Band 1 was invited to perform at the ILMEA Music Education Conference held every year in Peoria. It's quite the honor. Groups can submit tapes or recordings every year in an application, and they were selected to perform, amongst many, many applications throughout the state. Not only did they get the honor to perform, but the performance was one of those that we had colleagues coming up to us afterwards just stunned at what the students were able to do, playing really collegiate level literature at an incredibly high level. So that was a really just great accomplishment for that entire ensemble. And then kind of as related to that, ILMEA, the organization has a conference where these larger groups can perform and there's professional development, but it also hosts basically the equivalent of regionals, sectionals, and state for individual musicians. So we always send students interested in participating in that to a regional audition. There's 9 districts. We're in District 7. And then students from that district selection process get the potential to be selected for all state. So we'll start by recognizing the all district students. You'll see that if you look at the board, there's kind of a lot of different categories. We have our band students can actually audition for a concert band or an orchestra and playing band instruments in an orchestra. And then our jazz band students can audition for up to 4 different jazz bands and a jazz combo. We were very unique in that there are actually students in all 5 of those jazz groups. It's just kind of random how that worked out. So our first person we'd like to recognize is Griffin Fox for both band, bass, trombone, and jazz band 1. Griffin Fox. We'll recognize again in a second. But Audrey Groth for band French horn and for jazz band 2 string bass, multi-talented. Our third student we'll recognize again as well. Madison Tolbert made our band on flute, District 7. Next, we'll keep going here. Grant Roche made jazz band 3 on trombone. Next, Olivia Suarez made 2 ensembles as well, jazz band 3 for guitar, but also the orchestra on French horn, another multi-talented student. Next, Luc Etienne made Jazz Ensemble 4 on trumpet. Marco Gualiardo, Jazz Band 4 on trombone. This one, the Jazz Combo, is a small select group of about 7 or 8 students, and it's the highest level improvisers on each of their instruments. And Kayla Tagradar was selected on piano in that group. Next, Annalisa Kress was selected to the orchestra on French horn. And last but not least, Kelsey Mully, a sophomore, also with Madison Tolbert, a sophomore, to the orchestra on oboe. It's just a quick picture. I was backstage, so my apologies for the low production value here, but this is just kind of some side shots of all 5 of those groups. They had a director come in and work with them throughout the day. That's Professor Bob Lark up the upper left, Reggie Thomas on the bottom left. These are just professors from our local area and actually outside of state as well that came in and worked with the students for the day. On the choir side of things, we had another district student make it, Andrew Shulian, as a tenor vocalist. So as I was explaining, that kind of explains the district side of things, all district for our District 7. From there, students get the opportunity to be selected for All-State and then audition into specific chairs. There's 2 separate All-State ensembles. There's an Honors Ensemble and the All-State Ensemble, the Honors Ensemble being the highest that you can make. And we had 3 students in band selected and 1 student in choir. So we'll recognize one more time Annalisa Kress making the All-State Honors. Next, we have Audrey Groth on French horn as well in the honors groups. Madison Tolbert, a sophomore making All-State is a very unique accomplishment, and so made it on flute again in an honors group. And last but not least, Andrew Shulian making it in the honors choir. Congratulations one more time to all of our All-State musicians up here. Congrats, guys.
Well, hi, everybody. My name is Janice Zimmerman. I have the privilege, I'm actually a social worker here, so AJ will probably not have me as a teacher. But I have the privilege of directing 3 of the productions that we do here at Warren. And we decided this year that we would submit our dinner theater play to what is called Theater Fest, Illinois High School Theater Fest Association. This is their 57th year. You have to go through a pretty intense adjudication process. They come out, they do a talk back with the cast, really ask you questions about why you made the choices that you made. And we do this in a really limited amount of time. Our dinner theater run is the shortest prep time that we have. So this cast really has to pull it together very quickly. We chose a play that is provocative in terms of everyone's fascinated with crime shows right now. And we chose a show that, if you remember the classic movie, What Do You Do with a Child Killer? And so it's pretty dramatic, pretty heavy. The adjudicators gave the highest praise to the cast handling such emotionally heavy content. So it is our privilege. And then we received a little award because we were selected to perform twice down at Theater Fest, which is all of the theater students coming from around the state to watch the productions, watch the all-state production that was just acknowledged, and also we were selected to perform twice in front of their peers, and so that was exciting. So we want to acknowledge the cast, and here we go. Kate Panagiotopoulos. Sophia Paz. Kevonte Jackson. Addison Piscavage, Maddie Berkey, Aiden Majori, Eliana Majori, Colin Coyle, Favor Ubaka, Jaden Cohn, Ozzy Lerner, and then I don't think Joshua Rice and Gwen are here tonight, Gwen Young, but we'll acknowledge them as well. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We also put on a musical each year. This year we chose Anastasia the Musical, and for the past 2 years, we've submitted students who excel at their craft for the Illinois High School Music Theater Association Awards. They're called the Jimmy Awards. And then if they make it into the finals, they move on to the Jimmy Awards in New York, which is sort of like the Tonys. For high school students. So we had 3 students that we nominated, and they were adjudicated for their performance. They had to submit multiple videos of different songs, as well as have judges come out and evaluate their performance twice over show weekend. So we'd like to acknowledge Andrew Shulian, Kate Panagiotopoulos, and Noah Adrian. Thank you all so much for supporting Warren Theater.
I've got some more Warren Theater acknowledgments for you all. I'm Adam Miller, theater teacher and director, and I'm going to talk about the Shakespeare Slam. And for efficiency, I'm going to ask all the Shakespeare Slam folks who are here to come up now while I explain what this is. So this is a competition hosted by the Chicago Shakespeare Theater. There is a regional bout, and we advance from that to the final bout. And so these students for Shakespeare Slam performed on the stage of the Chicago Shakespeare Theater at Navy Pier. And we won. We were the co-champions of this bout. And there's 2 rounds that exist. One is where we take a scene from Shakespeare and we perform it straight. And the other one is where we took language from Shakespeare and made our own scene, crafted our own scene out of it. And it was an incredibly powerful, beautiful piece. If you want to go to YouTube, you can check it out. But I will acknowledge our Chicago Shakespeare Slam co-champions. So there he is. So Taz DeVries, Tricia Suter. All the names, and then we'll applaud wildly for everybody. Taz DeVries, Tricia Suter, Lindsay McCormick, Noah Adrian, Julia Welder, Rosie Usher, Sam Farmer, Nasa Rangai, Will Wodek, and Violet Harrison. Let's give it up for Sam. Speaking of 1 certificate per person, you may recognize these 2 names because they've been up here a couple of times already. But Andrew and Annalisa, why don't you guys come back up? Janice alluded to the Illinois High School Theater Festival. One of the things that the festival does is put on an all-state production where they have students, top theater students, orchestra, tech students from around the state come together, rehearse for 5 weekends, and then put on a play for 4,000 kids. And this year they did Shrek the Musical, and Andrew was a featured tap dancer and an ensemble member, and Annalisa was in the orchestra. So let's give it up for them. Oh, sorry. The last thing I will speak on is the short film that we watched right at the beginning as folks were sitting down. This is a newish competition in the state of Illinois through IHSA. It's the 3rd year, and you make a short film as a school, you submit it, and they rank it, and we were rated in the top Division 1. Again, if you didn't get enough of it, it's on our YouTube channel. You can check it out. Our process for this is we met starting in November, where we came up with the idea. We wrote the script. We practiced shots, figured out what we were doing. We had a day in December to film it. And then from December to March, we had a team who was editing it, putting the final touches on, and then ultimately it was submitted in March. And there are a lot of names as part of this ensemble who put this together. So again, I will read all the names. Some of them you may hear twice because they participated in a couple different aspects of it. If you were here when you hear your name, come up, get your certificate, and then be recognized. So our student directors were Julia Welder, Elena Munt, and Clover Beatty. Our screenwriters were Kelsey Ellman, Ian Armario, Taz DeVries, Andrew Hickey, and Nate the Great Abrego. Our assistant directors were Adriana Colin, Lindsay McCormick, Maggie Adrian, Patricia Suter, and Ava Little. Our cast was Lesra Johnson as the narrator, Charlie Plumoff as the jock, and Jovan Zapita as the nerd. Our director of photography was Nasa Rangai. Our featured extras were Nate Abrego, Jack Pollack, Rachel Veroni, Maggie Adrian, Will Wodek, Daniel Kedzie, Sam Farmer, Julius Alfaro, Ava Little, Alex Collin, and Noah Adrian. Post-production was Will Wodek, Patricia Suter, Taz DeVries, Kelsey Ellman, Caden Mangle, Elena Munt, and Jack Pollack. Art direction was Sophia Runyon, Philip Runyon, Rachel Veroni, Alexandra Collin, Maya Martin, and Emily Mendez. Camera department was Julian Alfaro, Noah Adrian, Charles Plumoff, Pax Pita, and Sam Farmer. Electrics were Kelsey Ellman, Lesra Johnson, Gwen Johnson, Ben Veroni, Caden Mangle. Wardrobe was Sarah Gutnick, Sarah Ballack, Gina Castro, Giovanni Tate, Biba Adrina, Dylan Hottenschweiler, Sienna Washington, and Shannon Parr. And sound was Rihanna Gonzalez, Sloan Finnerty, Andrew Hickey, Jack Pollack, and Audrey Groth. Thank you.
I'm a little disappointed that wasn't read in a scroll, like we would see at the movie. I mean, there we go.
Thank you.
Nice job, guys.
All right, then we have visual arts. And once again, thank you for your patience. And there's a lot of students here. We're super proud of all of them. And it's great to recognize them in this forum. We went to our North Suburban Conference Art Festival April 20th at Lake Zurich High School. And it's a festival. It's an all-day affair. And there's an all-conference top 10 that are selected from each school. We submit 60 pieces per school. And these are our all-conference students listed right up there. So when you hear your name, come on up here and get your certificates. Aaliyah Olson, who I don't think could make it tonight. Jasmine Porter. Athena Bahena. Sarah Scherer. Sarah's here. Maddie Julius. Caroline Gray, Dave Gray's daughter. You know Dave Gray used to coach football here. Jerry Ann Kelly. Isabella Vo. And Guillermo Arzmendi. And Anthony Soler, who I don't think can make it. Okay, so moving on. We are now on to our state art show, State Art Festival, the Illinois High School Art Exhibition, which is held down in Chicago near Comiskey Park, and I'll always call it Comiskey Park because that's what it is. And we had 5 students recognized as All-State. just incredible artists. This young man has been doing this for all the years of high school. He's amazing. Logan McLeod. Jake Rasmussen, who is not able to make it, he just sent me a message earlier. And then Gio Milan. Giancarlo Milan. Also All-State is Sarah Shearer. Sarah, come on back up here. And I'm sad that Jerry Ann Kelly is not here because she was not only selected as All-State, but she won Best in Show for her piece, which essentially is best in the state of Illinois, for this amazing piece of art that she wrote an exquisite description of, and we just threw that out there on our social media. But what's even better about this is if you go to the next slide, Dr. Weisman, this is the third time since 2017 that we have won the Top Artist in the State of Illinois award. And these are the other two students that have won it. And it's an incredible honor, and it's so competitive. And there are, literally thousands of pieces down there at that gallery in Chicago. And it's unbelievable that we have earned that. It's just a testament to the talent that is walking through these hallways every day. And I'm so proud of that. Real quick, our Live Arts Festival, which many of you were able to go to, was April 28th, and it's just an energetic night and we've been doing this now for 14 years, and we've done it because we want to show our community the power of the fine arts program here in one night. Like, to see all these incredible kids on display doing their craft in a 3-hour block is just an unbelievable amount of energy. And if you were here, if you've gotten to do this, there's just this buzz that goes on throughout the entire building from 6 to 9 p.m. on that night, and it's just turned into this incredible experience, and I'm super proud of our kids. We, in the art area, in the visual art area, we judged that art show, and we had Best in Show. We have judges come in, alumni artists come in, and they judge the categories. And so the Best in Show for two-dimensional art was Gio Milan for that piece right there. Best in Show for 3D, and this young lady has come up in all three of the fine arts areas, music, theater, and visual art, was Annalisa Kress. That's an incredible broke the budget on certificates for Annalisa, I'll tell you that. And then Best in Show for the digital category is this incredible, Logan, I got hundreds of dollars for you if you want to sell me that piece. Logan McLeod. And then our final recognition is probably the most important visual arts recognition, and it's the Senior Artist of the Year. And this year we had two students that were just, they would be on the Mount Rushmore of Warren art students, and they're just incredible kids. And that's, I think, the best part of it. They're not only really talented, but they're just great people, and they've made us proud for several years. And these students, we're going to take a piece that they choose for us and have it framed and put it on we got a little wall of fame down in the art wing, and it will be there for future artists to see. And I just wish that some of our Senior Artists of the Year from the last 40, 50 years, because it goes way back into the 70s. That's a long time ago, isn't it, John?
Yeah, I've been on the board since then, I know.
I was a freshman in 1979, so I remember that. So anyway, our Senior Artists of the Year this year are Jerry Ann Kelly and Logan McLeod. Thank you so much, and we appreciate the time you give us. Thank you.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
an insane number of really talented kids that we have here. I know we're really proud of the academics that we provide, but it's really neat to see the passions that we support. And then we have a lot of directors, coaches, teachers that help to nurture those passions. I mean, just everything about now is invigorating of what Warren is all about.
Why we do what we do.
Amazing.
Beautifully said. Thank you.
Yeah, you thanked us for our time. We thank you for all of this. This was phenomenal.
So much.
You make me wish I'd have done better in concert band.
Yeah.
They kicked him out of band.
Good luck at track. Thank you.
Good luck. Yeah.
Thank you. Roll along, baby. Roll along.
Don't worry, we'll not be offended if everybody leaves the room. We're used to it.
We're here for us.
You guys want to talk about budgets?
We know how to clear a room.
It's hard to top that. Moving forward, just to keep us on track. Next up on the agenda is the time for public comment. So if anybody would like to address the board, you're more than welcome to come to the podium and spend 3 minutes to address the board.
Rocco has more to say.
Step on up. Okay, the room's pretty well cleaned out, and I didn't see anybody who signed up, so we're going to skip past the public comments and go right on to committee reports. Comments, thoughts on any of the committee reports?
We don't have anything to add other than what's submitted.
Okay. Feel bad moving forward without applause on all this. I got used to all that. We'll go on to the superintendent's report.
It's anticipatory.
Okay. Other than, I don't have anything to add to item A there. Item B is just a reminder, especially with a new board member, that we have the tri-conference in November. It's the Illinois Association of School Boards, the Illinois Association of School Administrators, and the Illinois Association of School Business Officials. I know the board provided me with some feedback last time we went on how we could make sure that was continues to be a meaningful opportunity for the board. It also provides an opportunity for you to receive some mandatory training. So just putting it in.
I just want to add a little bit talking about the AAA conference in November. I mean, it is a great opportunity to learn more and further education on what we're doing. It's also one of the few times where we can be together as a board and talk and be social. As most people don't recognize, anytime 3 of us are together in any situation, it's a board meeting. We're not allowed to have 3 of us together at a time. This is kind of one of the exceptions, so it's a great time for all board members to show up, participate, enjoy a meal, enjoy a walk around downtown, just to get to know each other a little bit better.
Have you planned that out? I think there was comment last time about trying to.
Yes.
So there's a few people I think had made that comment. So
I think some of the other feedback we received last time is let's plan events so we're all there together. So it's not the end of the day and everybody's trying to scramble and say, I'm going to go over here, I'm going to go over there. Let's decide as a board. We're going here, we're going to there. So we're like an amoeba. We're walking around together. Or as I learned the other night, a mitochondria, because the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the system.
Yes.
I listen to these speeches.
I appreciate.
Tony's not too convinced over there.
So we'll reach out to you in the next week and just make sure you know where the dates are, and the sooner that you can confirm your intentions with us, the sooner we can get those hotel bookings. So I have.
Next up is the consent agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda? Nope. If not, I move to approve the consent agenda items as presented, which includes personnel recommendations per Exhibit A, numbers 165 through 178 as posted. 179, Cindy Clem, leave of absence. 180, Taylor Hillard, new hire. Number 181, Agate Kaluka, new hire. There is no Exhibit B in this meeting. The payment of bills dated May 23rd, 2023, in the amount of $4,215,883.12. Regular meeting minutes of May 9th, 2023. Acknowledgement and acceptance of gifts to the district as presented. The 22-23 final school calendar. The reciprocal reporting system agreement between the Gurnee Police Department, the Village of Gurnee, and the Board of Education of Warren Township High School, and the intergovernmental agreement between Warren Township High School and the Gurnee Police Department. Roll call.
Motion by Schultz and second by Martinez. Mrs. Pope? Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Demonte?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mrs. Martinez? Yes. Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
6 yes, motion carries.
Thank you very much, everyone. Now we're on to action items. First up is Dr. Michael.
Yeah, there's actually 3 things all in one involving DLA architects. Going back to the 2016 health life safety or 2017 health life safety audit, which identified some exterior door work, some door replacements, stair flooring for the treads, and office space for the patients. So it's 3 proposals all there in one.
Questions? If not, I move to approve the engagement agreements with DLA Architects Limited for door replacements at the O'Plain campus in an amount not to exceed $20,000, stair flooring at the O'Plain campus in an amount not to exceed $15,000, and office renovations at the Almond and O'Plain campuses in the amount not to exceed $15,000.
Second.
Roll call.
Motion by Schultz and second by Anderson. Mr. Demonte?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mrs. Martinez?
Yes.
Mrs. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
And Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
6 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Keep it going, Dr. Engel.
The next one is for the replacement of the hot water storage tanks at the Oakland campus. If you remember, we have a large fiberglass one that's 1,000 gallons. It was probably about a year ago. We repaired a little bit and
With Peterson Plumbing, if I'm reading that correctly? Okay. Any questions? If not, I move to approve the O'Plain campus hot water storage tank bid and award Ernie Peterson Plumbing Incorporated the amount of $157,450 and alternate of $31,450 for controls. Roll call.
Motion by Schultz and second by Martinez. Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Demonte?
Yes.
Mrs. Pope?
Yes.
Mrs. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
6 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Next up, Dr. Keeley talking about the press box improvements.
We started investigating the press box. We have some weather damage. The windows leak. The door entering the press box also leaks, which is causing water damage in there. So at first we looked at the structure of the whole press box, and I think you all remember that price tag.
Yes, we do.
So this is much more reasonable. This will weatherproof the facility. It'll essentially re-side it. It'll get a new wrap on it, new windows that do seal, and it should keep it and a new door that will keep it weather tight. The roof is in good shape. It blew off at some point in a storm in the past decade. So the roof is in good shape. It's not a roof issue with the leaks. It's definitely the siding, windows, and door.
Questions? If not, I move to approve the press box improvements with RWB Construction Enterprise Incorporated in an amount of $44,545.
Second.
Roll call.
Motion by Schultz and second by Anderson. Mrs. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mrs. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Demonte?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
6 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Next up, back to Dr. Engel, an approval for a custodial bid.
Went out to bid for custodial services for the next 3 years. We'll start in FY 24, 25, option to extend it for 26, 27.
So in front, we ended up receiving 8 bids for the custodial, I guess, bid for the next couple of years. And the company that we determined that was the best selection for us, not only price-wise, but also on references and also on just basic quantity of staff and benefits for their staff members, was GSF USA. They also proposed having 2-day matrons, 8 full-time custodians, 4 part-time per building, and a non-cleaning supervisor, so there will be some supervision in the evening time as well. I know there's been some conversation about our current services. How is this any different? It's allowing for 2-day matrons at each campus versus 1, and instead of having 6 FTE at one campus and 7 at the other, it's allowing for 10 at night. So the quality of work and the amount of area per custodian falls within kind of the guidelines between 25,000 and 30,000 square feet. As before, we were well exceeding over 50,000 square foot per person.
I would add to their proposal includes a non-cleaning supervisor, which is something that I think will help with oversight. We did a lot of reference checks, and sometimes when you're moving from one company to another company, some of their employees stay. So management is really important, and reference checks we did on other educational organizations that they're with said the management does seem to work, their structure and their supervision process does seem to work for them.
Question. The supervisor, the cleaning services daytime and nighttime?
Correct.
Is the supervisor daytime or nighttime?
Mostly evening. That's where the vast majority of
we have
staff.
our own staff to, in theory, supervise or know. And,
correct. We have eyes on during the day for sure.
And 8 seems like a lot of bids for custodial services at a time when there's a worker shortage. Does that strike you as unique?
It was high. I mean, I think the last time we went, we had probably 6 or 7, but we had 8 this time. It was 8 with 2 alternates within the 8, so it was technically 10 different. But yeah,
it seems high. Mm-hmm. It's good. It's good for us.
It's highly competitive too. Pretty tight. Any other comments? Questions? If not, I move to approve the custodial services bid and award GSF USA to begin July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2026.
Second.
Roll call.
Motion by Schultz and second by Martinez. Mr. Demonte?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mrs. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
6 yes, motion carries.
Next up is Dr. Engel, our diesel fuel bid. We go out to bid annually for our diesel fuel delivery. This is for all of our buses. The winning bid was Avalon. They're our current incumbent for delivering us our diesel fuel for the buses. They matched their same rate as last year at 10 cents a gallon for delivery, so no change. Questions? I move to approve the diesel fuel bid and award Avalon Petroleum Company as presented for the 23-24 school year. Roll call.
Motion by Schultz and second by Carlson. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Martinez?
Yes.
Mrs. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Demonte?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
6 yes, motion carries.
Next up is Dr. Engel with our paperback books bid. We went out to bid like we typically do for paperback novels for both English classes on both sides of town. We also did it for foreign language and also for special needs as well. So any type of paperback novel we went out to bid for, we have the awarded bid amounts there. I believe we had 9 different people or 9 different companies bid on all the paperbacks. And so this vendor list here are the lowest responsive bidders for each title, each ISBN there. So as presented, we would like to have you guys approve the $95,364.36.
How do we, is that like a package we buy, or how does that work?
So what we end up doing is every department has their list of novels that they're going to be doing for next year. There's some prep ones in there too for like ACT and things of that nature. So we do it as a holistic district going out to bid. Not every company is going to bid on every single ISBN or every single book. So there's multiple, and so we end up picking the cheapest one or the least expensive bidder for that particular title. Correct. And that's why the bid's broken down into segments.
Thank you.
How much do we spend on the licensures on textbooks that you do that you do online?
Good question. Do you have an answer to that one? I would have to look it up.
Sorry.
So novels and textbooks are two different processes. So novels those are consumables. So we go out to bid on novels every year. We purchase those annually to replenish stock as we get sectioning and everything done. So we get our numbers done for that in the spring, and then we place the bid or put out the bid for the novels. For e-textbooks, that process, that's actually what's on for, I think, another item down is the purchase of textbooks for the 23-24 school year. So usually for those, we buy those in batches of about 6 years with a total number of licenses. And the cost for a 6-year cost of ownership for an e-textbook is almost the same as what it would have been to buy a paper textbook. But it's pretty competitive, and our annual cost on textbooks varies based on the size of classes that are refreshing, like the number of kids that enroll in them. But we're pretty consistent. In most of our textbooks now, we don't really purchase textbooks that don't have an electronic option.
So I have a question that could pertain to either one of you. I know I'm kind of old school. I go to the library all the time and get books, and my kids have graduated college without ever buying a book because everything's online. Is that something we'll move to at some point? I mean, it just seems like
I think the biggest thing is annotation of the novels, literally just taking notes along the side.
So
but I have 2 students over there saying we don't want to annotate anything else anymore. It takes all the fun out of reading.
That's part of school.
Suffer. Okay.
Suffer.
Is that the primary reason we don't do more?
So most of our textbook work is done online. When we purchase textbooks, we still buy some physical copies just to supplement in the classrooms for different activities, or if a kid's Chromebook's not working, that make sure we have learning resources. But part of our evaluation process is evaluating the online materials because of translation and other activities and assessments that come with those. But when it comes to novels, it's still a better learning tool for kids to work with a physical novel that they can annotate in, write in, and interact in physically, rather than like reading. Like I use Kindle at home to read, but that's like reading for pleasure. Right. When I even still just when you're highlighting and working and writing and like referring back, it's still our teachers still believe it's more beneficial to work in a physical novel.
Makes complete sense. Thank you.
So do the students get to keep their annotated novels?
I still have some of mine from high school.
The e-textbook, can they highlight and stuff on it?
Yeah.
And a lot of the textbooks we get embedded in the Canvas. We're getting there.
Anything else? If not, I move to approve the paperback books bid and award the contracts to the recommended vendors in the amount of $95,364.36 for the 2023-2024 school year. Second by Carlson. Roll call.
Motion by Schultz and second by Carlson. Mrs. Polk.
Yes.
Mrs. Martinez.
Yes.
Mr. DeMonte.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
And Mr. Schultz.
Yes.
6 yes, motion carries.
Next up is approval of the textbook budget. Gio, you can come up again, or can we just say, do we have any other questions on this topic? Anything you want to add that we didn't just ask you about?
I don't think I have anything else to add unless you guys have questions.
Well,
I move to approve the textbook budget for the 23-24 school year as presented.
Second.
Roll call.
Motion by Schultz, second by Martinez. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Demonte? Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mrs. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
6 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Going back to Dr. Engel now. Authorization for permanent abatement of working cash to the capital projects fund. I know. Everybody's been waiting for this topic. I know. Let's go.
They should have
Sorry.
stayed, right?
So if the board can remember back in November, I think it was 2018, we went out for
Oh, we can't remember
that. We went out for $23 million in working cash bonds.
I can't remember different breakfast, much less 20.
Oh yeah, it was
Oh,
hard.
just a smidge.
So these were the drawdowns, if you will, from the capital project, or from the $23 million in capitalized funds. The Old Plain Elevator project was $97,869.16. The door replacement work from last summer was $191,557.48. And then we also did our exterior door security access, and that was $96,068.02. So basically, those added up together to $385,494.66, and that's the money that would be transferring from working cash drawn out, which leaves a total there, that right-hand column, about $2.8 million remaining.
Basically, we borrowed all that money, stuck it in working cash, and as we spend it, you transfer it over to capital. That's it. That's all we're doing.
Thank you, John. The students on this.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Boring.
If not, I move to approve the resolution abating the working cash fund of Township High School District Number 121, Lake County, Illinois, in the amount of $385,494.66.
Second.
Roll call.
Motion by Schultz, second by Anderson.
Yes.
Mrs. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mr. Demonte?
Yes.
Mrs. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
6 yes, motion carries.
Next up is insurance approval.
So this is the approval for the renewal through the CLIC group for property casualty, student accident, foreign liability, cyber liability, and workers' compensation insurance for the 23-24 school year. One key note in there was cyber liability coverage has gone up from $2 million to $5 million, and pretty much stayed underneath last year's premium for that $5 million policy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So overall renewals, including the cyber, the additional cyber liability coverage, property and casualty, we saw a 7.9% increase, and workmen's compensation 7.1% for a balance total of 7.8%, or a $39,000 increase going forward. Questions?
I move to approve the renewal of property, casualty, student accident, foreign liability, cyber liability, and workers' compensation insurance policies for 1 year, effective July 1st, 2023, as presented.
Second. Martinez.
Roll call.
Motion by Schultz and second by Martinez. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mr. Demonte?
Yes.
Mrs. Pope?
Yes.
Mrs. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
6 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Next up is Dr. Weisman on the staffing plan.
And so this is a plan that the board, I think, is traditionally, it's a unique thing that our school board does, but traditionally has been there to make sure that the board understands and has accountability around staffing and how we staff here in the school district. It's something new to me, but I think is a great process. It's very transparent here and unique at Warren Township. So this just memorializes the 12 certified teaching positions that we're adding, and then there are 12 other positions in there. I think this is, again, an opportunity to celebrate added services for students because of the referendum. And we really, as an administrative team, and I think I represent the staff and parents and the community, appreciate the board's trust and confidence in allowing us to go ahead and put these in place here for the upcoming year. It's really exciting, and we're having a really good, for the most part, we're having a pretty good employment experience. We're able to, for most of these positions, we've got a good candidate pool to be about. I would say I didn't put the one thing that's not up there that I didn't put on, we probably should still keep talking through over the next month, is the security staff. We were able to hire a security director. We have a very low applicant pool for the security staff, and with the idea that we would bring those in-house. So I left those off for approval tonight. We can add them in the future, but one thing I'd like to consider and maybe have a few minutes of conversation about tonight is the possibility that as an administrative team we could lean back into some type of hybrid model. We are concerned that it's going to be tough to fill those positions, something we haven't had to do. And with the low applicant pool, I want to make sure that we don't start the year inadvertently having less security personnel than we intended. And maybe if we take a year and roll into it, we could kind of lean back into that hybrid model this upcoming year. Hal is willing to work with us on that, and then see where we're at with staffing and try again next spring. We can keep hitting the road on recruitment for those positions. We will need to still, even if we lean into the hybrid model, but thinking about maybe splitting the middle and maybe about half of the personnel be Hal, half of the personnel be internal. Setting aside the nights and the weekends might be a more doable and predictable model for next year.
Talk to Hal though about a hybrid model? Yes. And they're open to it?
Hal is very open to a hybrid model. I think the owners just want to make sure that we're able to, the owners is willing to work with us. It's beneficial to them to keep working with us and have some type of partnership. We just need to give them an answer here before we get, otherwise their employees will take jobs in other Hal locations.
Is there any drawback to starting slower than half? If the applicant pool, I don't know what low means, but even with a low applicant pool doesn't guarantee that they will remain or.
Sure.
So is there any, just starting as, slowly adding throughout the hiring process? Is there any possibility of that?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. Well, the discussion that we've had with Hal is that they need a commitment for a whole year for a position. So if we start the year with a position, or if we give them probably around, mid-June, beginning of July, if we say, hey, these are the positions that we need, we're gonna have that position all year. So we could lean into them even more than a half. We definitely could do that. Whatever we do, we gotta figure that out here in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Probably.
Having said that, though, is there a discussion about, I don't know how to say this, but looking at the qualifications of the people that they do provide and seeing if there's any deeper qualifications we could set into in the meantime, so that we're kind of improving what we're working on now, but then as we can build our staff.
Yeah, one thing we could do, maybe tell me if I'm interpreting this correctly, but we could go back to Hal and say, hey, the school board was okay with a budget of X amount for internal. If we don't bring in all internal candidates for next year, or internal staff for next year, that would allow us to increase the capacity or qualifications along with some pay for the Hal staff. So we could talk to them about that type of idea, like let's increase their pay, increase expectations and qualifications.
Them accountable with a director.
Yes, they would definitely be held more accountable with a director.
Would the Hal people report to our director?
Pat's nodding his head. Yeah.
I mean, it would be really weird. Basically, I read this as you're going to hire whatever you can to fill the rest of that.
Yeah, we're going to predict what we feel like we can hire. It's going to be closer to half, if not. It's definitely not going to be all. I'm recommending that we definitely not assume that we can hire them all. It's going to be closer to half. It might be a little bit more or less, but we'll sit down and look at that here in the next 2 weeks and make a decision about that.
So let's assume that we're going to go to Hal and say, if you supply half, we think we can hire the other half. Then do we stop searching? And then next year we got to find the other half to hire.
So we don't have enough to hire even half of them at this point.
I'm just using half and half of an
Yeah.
example. It just seems like we'd hire some and then stop looking for a year. Then we're in the same, kind of in the same situation next year again.
Yeah, it is. I think that's a fair question, because we will need to make a commitment to how. If the board is interested in overstaffing this upcoming year, then we could start overstaffing maybe halfway through or 3/4.
You have to commit to a year for a HAL, right?
Right.
You start with 8 HAL people, you end with 8 HAL people.
Correct.
And
Don't get me wrong, I'm all for a hybrid model as long as we have a sufficient number of security people in our buildings.
And I think that's my biggest concern because at the wage we hire security. You know, a contract is there for a deeper bench, right? When somebody quits and at these, at this wage range, people have options, a lot of options. And I'm just expressing my concern personally, having run food service operations. I mean, people can go from one place to another without really giving it too much thought. And so if we lose our own staff, we don't have a bench to pull somebody in on a day basis, on a week basis. Your applicant pool is low right now. And if anybody decides halfway through the year this gig isn't for them, what are we doing? And how are we staffing that position if they do decide to go elsewhere for this wage? I'm all for having our own staff, and I understand it, but I also am concerned with the nature of the position and the fact that we're a school, we don't do security. It's just not having people here is a big concern as well, so.
And I'd also, I entertain your thought on being overstaffed too, because that could also give us the opportunity if a whole person leaves, we've got the person. And also if one of our people leave, then we have it covered.
Well, what's the relationship of our pay scale versus house? Do the same people who do the same job earn the same amount or more or less with one or the other?
Say that in a different way.
We would pay more than HAL's paying.
Yeah, in other words, I'm security here and I work for how I earn X amount, and we're in Township and I earn X amount. Is that the same amount?
They would be earning more and have more benefits if they worked with us.
So there'd be more incentive to work for us.
Correct.
Because I'm thinking we need to look back up and figure out some kind of way to increase the talent pool.
The front desk position, is that going to be a Warren position or a Howe position? Because my biggest concern from what I hear about that front desk is that kids come and go and their IDs don't get checked. Like, it could be a kid from Zion walking in and we don't know. So that to me is a concern of who's going to man that desk, who do they belong to, and the expectation that we are checking who's coming in and out.
I would like to say if we have a supervisor, regardless of who they're working for, that person should be accountable for what they should be doing. Right? That would be my answer. Like, if we have a supervisor, whether they're a Warren Township employee or a Howe employee, that person has duties they should be held accountable for.
The supervisor will be
Absolutely. Accountable here.
Yep.
Right? And I didn't mean to jump in front of you, but if we have two different pools, they're going to be managed as our own. In a lot of respects.
I'm going to ask, do all your IDs get checked when you walk in the building? I can't.
Should.
That's a physical impossibility.
Is it possible?
When they all come in, when the bus
No,
runs
I'm
out?
talking about like lunchtime and stuff like that.
Okay.
You're talking one-off people come just walking in.
Okay.
So rephrase the question to them maybe. When you guys are coming in at lunchtime or off hours or whatever, do you get checked?
Been outside the building.
Come in.
Yeah. Doors open.
Right.
It's not open, it's actually locked, but they gotta come through. But nobody says, do you belong there? That's what you're saying.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that there are definitely conversations around security protocol. Specifically, what I'm trying to figure out tonight is it okay for us to lean into the hybrid model? given the current staffing.
Yes, absolutely. And I would just say one of the reasons we're going with in-house security, so we have stronger controls. Yep. Anything else?
Nope, that's all I have. I appreciate consideration of the staffing plan as it exists.
Well, these all are great and important positions, so this is good. Any other questions or comments? If not, I move to approve the fiscal year 24 staffing plan as presented.
Second.
Roll call.
Motion by Schultz, second by Anderson. Mrs. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mr. Demonte?
Yes.
Mrs. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
6 yes, motion carries.
Thanks, everyone. Next up is approval of some student field trips.
Are there any questions on the field trips?
I had a question. I just wanted to be sure. So I believe it was the football and the basketball. I just wanted to be clear. So it said something about the funding. Are they all self-funded, meaning
Yes.
either through their own efforts or through the families or whatever? Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to be clear. It wasn't clear to me.
Questions? If not, I move to approve the boys' basketball trip to New Rochelle, New York from January 12, 2024 to January 15th, 2024. The Devilettes trip to Northern Illinois University from June 6th through 19th, 2023. The Warren Township High School cheerleading trip to Carthage College from July 17th through 19th, 2023. And the football program trip to Olivet Nazarene University from July 13th through the 15th, 2023.
Second.
Roll call.
Motion by Schultz and second by Anderson. Mr. Demonte?
Yes.
Mrs. Martinez? Yes. Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mrs. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
6 yes, motion carries.
Next up is a proposal for the ISB Resolutions Committee.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about this at the committee of the whole meeting. I sent a draft to the board after working through with Mrs. Pope. The resolution specifically asking for advocacy for the adoption of state legislation to mandate and fund district suicide prevention education measures. There's a couple of different ways that it suggests that they do so. If approved tonight, Jean and I would submit this to the Illinois Association of School Boards Resolution Committee, and then over the summer they review all those and determine which ones they should put in front of the delegate committee in November.
So if you could do me a favor, because we have two people at the table who weren't here last week talked about, could you talk a little bit about the proposal and the intent of making this proposal? Because
Sure.
I'd be interested in your true feedback on
Yes,
this.
I did prep our students. They are aware of what the proposal is. And so, yeah, definitely if they've got some feedback. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah. Yes. If not, it's okay too.
pressure.
No pressure. Don't worry, the whole world's watching though.
You're being recorded.
And videotaped.
If I mean, if it doesn't hurt anyone, but could help people, I don't think it could hurt to approve it at all.
Yeah, I agree. I think these are issues that are very important and need to be covered.
Thank you.
For what it's worth, I think it's very important that we include funding, the word funding in there, and I'm happy to see it because the state legislature has a nasty habit of telling us what to not to do and not give us any money to do it.
I don't know where this project started from, if it came from you, Danny, or from you, Beth, but whomever, thank you very much for coming up with this idea. I mean, this is a great proposal and an important topic, so thank you for coming up with this.
Ms. Pope.
Can I just ask one question on it? The low cost gun and storage solutions. I always like to think that we're in the business of educating kids, and the local police departments are in the business of educating people on firearm safety. I know you wrote it for funding schools to provide. Is the intention? I guess I'm looking at both you two because is the intention to have us be the broker of firearm in these items, or is it
Was it more for, we work on the mental health side and the local police department is well funded to provide locks and storage at low or no cost? It seems like it's written like we might be the ones brokering that. My feedback is for us not to be the ones brokering firearm safety if at all possible. So I guess I was curious your take on that.
Can you define the word broker?
Yeah, so are we the ones actually issuing out gun safety locks and storage?
We do now. We have a resource officer that provides gun safety locks at
The school?
Mm-hmm.
The school does or the Gurney Police Department does?
They have them available in their office.
The school resource officers do.
Okay, so it's something we do now.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my question.
And those come at a cost, so.
They get handed out to who, like if a family comes in?
I wasn't even aware that we did that. This is new.
For the resolution, they became interested in supplying gun locks available to whoever might need them.
Yes, that is something that I did do that this summer. They're pretty cheap. We bought a box of gun locks and gave them to the school resource officer in case families came and had questions about gun locks and gun storage.
So then this is just about funding then what we're currently doing. Got it.
And I will say, unfortunately, and somewhat fortunately because it makes change, this is the 8-year anniversary of a childhood friend. And so if this helps anyone not have to go through the most devastating time in someone's life, I think it would be well worth it to save one kid in this high school by providing a gun lock to a parent that all of a sudden someone has a really, really bad day. You know, you don't fake depression, you fake happiness. And so it's sometimes very hard to identify these kids regardless of the amount of staff we had, counselors, whatever. And so I just think that they're brokering, I don't know about the term, but providing a resource to kids to keep them safe or to keep other kids safe in the school at the same time, because most guns that are used in school shootings are coming from home and they're unlocked. So,
yeah, no, it all makes sense to me. I was just verbalizing a preference. And I wasn't also aware that it's a current practice that we're doing. So, like, I wouldn't want the police department teaching kids how to read, you know. But it's kind of like stay in your wheelhouse, if you will.
It's student safety.
But if you're explaining it to me that it's the SRO that's facilitating that, that's a lot more than helps me.
And part of the education would be that, you know, safe storage is important, and we have a gun available.
Yep.
How do the families know that we have those available to them if needed?
So when we first started it, we had some community awareness presentations that we partnered with the feeder elementary school districts. Did that with the library. Let parents know, I think, through the communication around that event that those were going to be available. Currently, generally, we don't push it a whole lot with families. That's something that we consider as a school district. It's just there as a resource for the school resource officer if families are looking. The school resource officer, an example of when that more clearly, directly might come into play in conversation is if there is a concern of a threat or a safety concern that a staff member might have, and that goes up the chain. Sometimes the school resource officer helps coordinate with the local police department a safety visit or wellness visit to the home. They might ask the parents questions like, are there firearms in the home? Are they locked up? So making sure that the school resource officer is able to follow up with a resource to that type of family in that scenario was part of the reason why we went forward.
It's another tool at their disposal. Ultimately, I think is great, especially if it gets funded. The hope. So,
with what we're doing right now, is there more we should do to let students and parents know that this is available to them? Just as another level of our own security?
I think that's definitely something that the board could have more direct conversations about. Is how much do we want to push this? That's definitely a conversation that we could have.
Yeah, I think we should at some point.
Great.
Okay.
Can I pull the students on this one? Yeah. You guys have any other thoughts now that we've kind of discussed it? I know it was on paper a minute ago. Kind of not living. I'm just curious.
I'm just,
This can only help people. I do think Mr. DeMonte's concern is one that might come up with the resolutions committee. The resolutions committee might say, hey, look, we educate kids, police departments should worry about this type of thing. I don't know. We'll find out. We're going to give it to them tonight. But that's something that could come up, probably will come up as part of the conversation.
Anything else? If not, I move to approve the proposal to the Illinois Association of School Boards Resolution Committee as presented.
Second.
Roll call.
Motion by Schultz and second by Pope. Mr. DeMonte?
Yes.
Mrs. Martinez? Yes. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Mrs. Pope?
Yes.
And Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
6 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Before I adjourn the meeting, I just want to thank our student representatives for being here again tonight. We greatly appreciate your input on any topics. And if there's anything else you want to come to us with questions, advice, guidance, don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Do they come to couple meetings?
Yep.
Good. I wasn't sure what the rotation was, because today was not a great one for you. I mean, we talked about diesel fuel and things that
annotating school books.
Well, maybe they're into diesel fuel. All right.
I mean, maybe you are, but there's other times.
Hopefully you're not.
Any other questions, comments, anything from the board?
Quick question on the community engagement calendar.
Yes,
You
I
got this
forgot to mention
electronically?
that.
Yeah, this is their.
We'll send this to you electronically. There are some links on there. This is a draft for you to look at. We're hoping that you can start to identify the events, people, or organizations you want to help reach out to next year. And we can help coordinate those calendars. So we'll get you an electronic version, but this gives you something in hand to start looking at and maybe circling.
Okay, because there's some gaps in terms of locations and who we go where and this sort of stuff. We'll talk, okay.
Some of them we won't know until next year. So, for example, if you really want to help reach out to the choir boosters, for example, we might not know their meeting schedule until next year. So, if you circle it, we'll make sure that we look into that and get those details between now and the start of the school. Yep, Jane's working on it.
Thank you.
Anything else? If not, I move to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Roll call.
Motion by Schultz, second by Martinez. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. DeMonte?
Yes.
Mr. Carlson?
Okay.
Yes.
But if it'll
Mrs. Pope?
Yes.
Mrs. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
6 yes, motion carries.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your help. Stay safe, stay healthy.